Macro photography is all about capturing the smallest details, the ones you might miss at first glance. Today, I'm going to show you how to create stunning macro shots on film using the Mamiya C330 and some essential tools from Platypod. And this is just the beginning. In the next video, I'll walk you through the developing and scanning process using some fantastic Platypod gear to bring these images to life. Hi everybody, I'm Kirsten Nuts and you're watching Platypod TV, brought to you by Platypod, where innovation never sleeps. Oh, and just a quick reminder, I won't hassle you to hit that subscribe button just yet. But if you like what you see, I might give you a little nudge later on. Cool? Alright, let's do it. The Mamiya C330 is an awesome tool for macro photography, thanks to its bellows system, which allows for super precise focusing. But it's not without its quirks. The twin lens setup is both a blessing and a challenge. One lens is for viewing, the other for capturing. This means you can focus without disrupting your composition, but since you're not looking through the capture lens, your field of view is slightly off. That's what we call parallax. And there's more. When you extend the bellows for those close-up shots, you'll lose some light because of the increased distance between the lens and the film plane. This means you can adjust your settings to get the right exposure. So yeah, you're compensating for both composition and exposure. Thankfully, the camera has some clever built-in features to help. In a viewfinder, there's a black line showing where the top edge of your frame will be. And there's also an exposure compensation scale to tell you how many stops of light you need to add. Sounds complicated? Maybe. But it's exactly what makes working with dual-lens cameras so much fun. Everything is manual, and that's where the magic happens. To measure correct exposure, I'll use a light meter. But there's a simple trick. If you don't have a light meter, just use a digital camera and copy the settings. Light is light, right? To create my macro setup, I'm using a Platypod Extreme and a Traveler ball head. This tripod head is small, but packs a punch with a maximum payload of over 15 pounds. And it's rock solid, even at awkward positions. Macro photography is all about finding subjects with fascinating textures and details. For today's shoot, I've picked a leaf, an old camera, and a denim jacket, which I think will look amazing on black and white. When it comes to macro photography, composition is everything. The Mamiya's bellows let you get up close and personal with your subject while keeping the most critical details razor sharp. Using the Platypod makes life so much easier. You can lock your camera into place and focus entirely on nailing your composition and getting those details just right. For my first subject, I'm photographing a leaf in front of a white background. It has spots and texture, so that should look great in black and white. I'm lighting it very simply with one Lumicube, just to give the shadows some direction. My light meter reads f5.6 at a 60th of a second. Now, because I've extended the bellows, I need to compensate the exposure by about 2 stops. So a shutter speed of 1/15th of a second should do it. At such a low shutter speed though, we need to make sure the camera is rock solid, and I'm using an old-fashioned cable release to take the shot. For the second shot, I'm going dark and moody. And an old Praktica B100 film camera is the perfect subject. Compensating for both composition and exposure is tricky in this case, and not knowing what the result will be until we've developed the film makes the whole process even more fun. Going all analog in an increasingly digital world resets my neural pathways. At least, that's what I think. Let me know how you feel about shooting on film in the comments below. I would love to know. For my third and final setup, I'm choosing something with plenty of texture. Denim is one of my favorite textiles to photograph, and this old Levi's denim jacket with its weathered exterior and aged buttons will look great. For black and white film, it's all about contrast and texture. Take the time to adjust your exposure settings to really bring out those highlights and shadows. It'll make a huge difference in the final image. Now, let's get this film in the development tank and see what we got. Stick around for part 2 where I'll show you how to develop your film at home. No darkroom needed, and scan the negatives to bring your image to life. And there you have it, folks. I hope this video gave you some ideas and inspired you to create macro photography at home. If you want to learn more about photography, check out my podcast, the Camera Shake Podcast, where I've talked to pros like Don Komarechka or Stuart Wood in detail about how they create their amazing images. And if you're not yet following the Camera Shake Podcast, then what are you doing? Check it out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever awesome podcasts live. You'll find all the links in the description below. As always, take a snapshot of your setup or share your final shots on Instagram. If you've been experimenting with Platypod gear or try out the lighting setups we've discussed today, I want to see your creations. Make sure you tag Platypod on Instagram and use the hashtag #PostMyPlatypod. And if you like this video, we have a button specifically for you right here. Join the community over on Facebook to see what other Platypod users are up to, and ring the bell so you don't miss our regular videos. That, my friends, is all for today. Keep creating, and I'll see you next time.